Okay, sounds good. I'm going to try to bring it up.
Chicka-boom.
For some reason, I can never bring up our video until we're already on. All right, oh, you hear everything, so I don't have to, have to worry about it.
Facebook Live in 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome to another Wednesday, folks. And I just really have to jump right into this today. Today, I am excited to have, and I'm often excited to have you on here, so it's not anything new, but the reason you're here is outside the normal. Oh, that's me talking to myself for some reason. Did you hear that echo in there?
It's a delay.
Yeah. Sorry about that, folks. That was a good delay. The reason I have Jason Means here from Perfect Policy Insurance. Hi, Jason. Good morning.
How do you do?
Making the trek from Katy to visit the office in League City and beyond. You have a new location that just opened up.
We do. 2 weeks ago, we opened up Beaumont. So now we are
2 weeks already?
multi-city. Yeah, it's already been 2 weeks.
Wow.
Crazy.
So you're multi-city now.
Multi-city now, and exciting. Very exciting.
So you're going to drive from home to Beaumont, home to...
Not very often. No, one of the great things that I've been able to do is the way I grow is I find good quality people that I have, a lot of confidence in and are very responsible, so I don't have to go to those offices every day. And they just take care of business, and I go out there and visit every once in a while. But as long as things are running smoothly, I don't have to drive it.
Yeah,
everywhere.
You don't have to grace it with your presence every week just to prove that you're alive. If they're doing the job, they kind of like that. It's kind of like a, leadership, but it's a different way to do things. Yeah. It's trust.
Well, in today's technology world, you don't have to be in front of somebody to communicate. I talk to everybody in every office all day long, every day through Skype or phone or emails. So we're always in touch for sure.
Every day. So you're man in charge, and the success is shown because you're able to grow, and from your humble beginnings too. I mean,
yes.
We with the stuff we're going to cover today, I don't have a whole bunch of time to cover that, but I love your stories, your growth stories. So we'll have to revisit that soon on the next thing. But as I was saying earlier, I'm so excited to have Jason on today because it couldn't be a more perfect time to have you on. Why is that? If you're a homeowner, this is the time that your insurance homeowner policy is probably going to be renewing. So like December, January in most cases. I know for me buying a home, and every time my clients do, they pay for the year and then their policies come up in December and they either get mailed to the purchaser or they get mailed to the mortgage company to pay off. Yeah. So this is a perfect time, and I'm shopping, and I shop every year for insurance. Now I'm going to put a disclaimer in there about my insurance company. I have no problem with them whatsoever. I like my insurance agent rep. I've gotten to know them. I've been with them 3 years now. And I've only changed companies once during that time to this company, and for many reasons. So I just want to say, if shopping around is not indicative if I like or don't like a company. There's a lot of reasons to shop around, and I'm going to give you mine. But today, Jason, I have asked Jason to help us shop, and that's what Perfect Policy does, basically in a nutshell. So Jason, in that nutshell, tell everybody what Perfect Policy does for people who want insurance.
You bet. Well, we are an independent agency, but we are very active. We write over 100 homes a month, and a lot of those are with real estate agents or mortgage brokers, so they're new home buyers that we usually help with. But our mission is to have every independent option available at our disposal, and we quote through all of them and find the best option that suits your particular situation, because every situation is a little bit different. It could be the house, it could be the homeowners that have different situations, and we just match them up with the best companies that like what they see. And every company has a different niche that they look for. So the more options you have, the better chance you have of finding the best choice for yourself.
In essence, they help you shop.
Yes.
And I recommend to all my clients, shop your policy, once a year. And again, not a personal thing against your insurance company. It's just smart business to kind of do that. And what we're going to get into on the remainder of the show is kind of the things that I look at, and I'll probably learn some things through here, not just about the information that Perfect Policies put together for me, but also, about different areas to look at when shopping. We've discussed before, and I said this, price is price, and you can consider that, but things like insurance that should not be the deciding factor for you. Bottom line.
For sure.
And so there's a lot to look at. So my hope is that this show, with Jason's guidance, will help me make a decision this year. Do I want to continue with my insurer? Do I want to go outside and try a new insurer? And hopefully you'll be able to help me with that and get me that perfect policy.
There you go.
See, I've got to throw that in because it's such a perfect name. I do like that. Why do I shop insurance? So I thought I would explain this so everybody kind of gets the feeling. Again, it's not all about finding the better price. You can find cheaper prices in anything that you look for. Doesn't matter. It could be a service, could be a product. You can always find cheaper service. But you got to remember, sometimes you do get what you pay for. So you have to look behind those things too to find out. And as I said, with insurance, those are one of the things that you really want to kind of investigate in. And I'm going to mention something real quick because I know Jason doesn't know this because you weren't here when we made these adjustments. These microphones now are designed, so try to put them right here, and you could talk in the front.
Oh, okay.
And I'm surprised Leon hasn't run out here yet. Normally, but you must be sounding great.
I guess so.
Yeah. Oh, he's being clock blocked. Okay,
nice.
So we are going on a little bit more. I don't know where to go from that one now. Okay,
I think that's a hands up, walk out the door.
There you go. Drop the mic in with 4 minutes left before the commercial. Great. All right, so when should you do it? I mentioned before that I do it for home insurance. Start in November, and it's a process for me in general. And this is one of the reasons I thought it was so great to know of a place like Perfect Policy. Because, again, you check different insurers. You could do all the work yourself. The thing I feel unsure about is that am I putting in what's needed to get me the right quote? Because I have found that when you do that, sometimes you get these quotes and then you take the policy and then the quotes are off. It's wrong. It's different for whatever reason. So maybe, that's something else that Perfect Policy offers you. Look, they know what your coverage is. Like I gave them a copy of my current coverage, and they tried to match everything, if not surpass it. And whatever they do through the mysterious world of the World Wide Web, and they reach out to different insurers. And the insurers you go through, they are reputable companies.
Yes, of course.
And they're rated.
Well, they all have slightly different ratings.
Okay.
So it depends on which company you're talking about. And there are a couple of different ways to rate companies. Newer companies are often rated by a company called Demotech. They're not. Most people are familiar with AM Best. If you're familiar with rating of insurance companies, AM Best is the well-known.
I'm learning something today. That's for sure.
AM Best is well known throughout for decades for evaluating insurance companies' financial stability. But AM Best only rates a company after they've been in business for 5 to 7 years. So if you're a new carrier, you can't even get an AM Best rating, which doesn't mean that you're not stable and that you're not a qualified company, but they just don't do it. It's just part of what they do. So Demotech is another company that evaluates a company, and basically what they do is they look at how much money do they have on hand versus how much business do they have outstanding, and what's their capability of paying in the event of a loss.
And that's a concern for sure.
Which is that's the only thing that an insurance company really is in existence to do. They don't have a product that they sell that it's delivered to your house and is a physical thing. Their product is the service that is there when you have a loss. So you want to make sure that it's going to be there. So there's another way to get evaluated if AM Best will not.
Okay, and the rating scale, from what I've seen, it's basically like school.
Yeah, A, B, C, D, exactly.
Is there really an F? Because does anybody go, hey, rate me, I want to post my F?
No, really, once you get to C, you pretty much have an F in the insurance world.
If you're not in the A range, why even bother
Yeah,
advertising
yeah.
it?
B plus, yeah, you don't advertise it. B plus is decent. It's acceptable. We have a couple of companies that are B plus, but generally you want to be in the A range, especially when it. Well, I mean, they both are rated the same way. The Demotech and AM Best are still A or B or C or so forth.
You know, I could probably spend the next 30 minutes trying to figure out why there's a grading system that includes a plus or minus on things.
Right.
But we only have a minute left and before our break. And I want to make sure that I tell people, if they're listening on vinyldraftradio.com, you can always go to our Facebook page, Vinyl Draft Radio, and watch the live feed. And you can also post your comments or questions. At the very least, hit the little like button. You can do the heart. You can do whichever emojis they have on there now. The
thumbs up.
Yeah, the thumbs up thing. But we definitely want you to come on there because, again, I think if you're a homeowner or you're buying a home or you're a real estate agent, this is a great show to ask a question because, again, not only is it about the shopping process, it's really about buying insurance at the end of the day, whether it's shopping for a new policy or shopping to maybe a new insurer. So,
yeah. And most people aren't super familiar with insurance, which is great for me because if it was super easy, you could just go online and buy insurance and cut out the independent agents. But there's a lot of information that's good to have.
All right, folks, we're going to be back in a few minutes with Jason Means. Stay tuned and talk to you soon. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I remember to turn down or turn off the volume, but when you play video, it doesn't work.
Oh, right. Yeah, when they play the video, it turns on the sound.
So my bad. I got to learn.
So we're still live Facebook?
We are.
Okay. So people are still watching.
Yeah. Right now they're out of this one.
Gotcha.
Hi, guys.
Oh, okay. So we've got the 3 different cameras, but this is the only one that's on right now?
Yeah, right now, but
Okay.
it switches throughout the show.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
awesome.
how do you know which one is which?
Well, I can see it, but
Oh, you're right there. Gotcha.
yeah, a little delayed, but
No
I can
little
see
red
it.
light or anything.
No,
that says-
because really, at the end of the day, we're talking to each other, and I'm
Sure.
talking to the microphone. So
Sure.
and the sound does go through to the streaming now too. So that's
Okay.
awesome.
Fantastic.
See, you can kind of hear it now.
I can just in the background.
You're pulling a JW in there. No. No, that's good. I'd like to hear the commercials, so I know where I'm at. Just watch out for any conversations you might not want us to hear back there. Oh boy, this is the first time I've had topic cards that are 4 cards long.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but we're not going to run out.
Right. Yeah, that's not normally a problem for us.
Yeah,
We both can be long-winded, so.
Yes, and I wouldn't even say speak for yourself because you're absolutely right on that one. Thank you, sir.
I can't see you. The clock is blocking my view.
Yeah, he's gonna do
Okay.
it. I can't explain it to give it justice.
So just like this?
Well, yeah, and you can kind of adjust it to where.
Well, like more like that? Is that better? So can you hear the difference? I mean, you're listening. Can you hear?
I mean, that gives like the optimal sound.
Gotcha. Okay.
Out of it. At
Gotcha.
the same time, I mean, like we can still pick it up there.
Perfect. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's what we found out is that they're round and flat. So you want the speaker part facing you.
Gotcha.
And when it's down, you're
so if
kind
you're
of
speaking down in here,
Right.
it's not. It's like that.
So the first
angle.
couple shows we were kind of splitting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Things you learn.
Yes. I like the purple cards, by the way.
Welcome back to the show. So if you just happen to be joining us, we're talking with Jason Means, owner of Perfect Policy Insurance with multiple locations. Again, congratulations on the Beaumont store opening. We'd love to meet some of your staff at some point, but
Yes, well,
they're
you can
busy
make that
working.
happen. You bet.
So
You bet.
I know we kind of talked about that
they're
before.
chained to their desks, so
And as they should be, since you're not there, you don't
Right.
go to them. No, just kidding. We are talking about shopping for your insurance. It just happens to be the time of year that I shop for insurance, and I think a lot of homeowners do because renewals are going in. And a lot of times you don't know this because you're paying escrow into an escrow account. And you may get a copy of the bill, but you never have to pay it because your bank does, your mortgage lender does if you have an escrow account. And so you don't think about it. I recommend, like I said before, always shop insurance, whether it's auto. And again, it's nothing personal against the person you get to know. It's just good to shop and see what's out there. And just in this case, you want to find out if you have a perfect policy.
There you
that
go.
maybe it could be better. And maybe there's an opportunity your current agency can do better as well. You just never really know. And again, it's not always about price. So I want to kind of dive into where we're at. I had asked Jason 2 days ago. This is when I said, you know what? It's time for me to shop insurance. What do you think we do this, on the show? Now, we had to do some things in advance. So I sent my current coverage to one of Jason's, what's her title?
Daniela, she's an agent.
She one of her agents who has helped me with clients. And again, Danielle, I hope to meet you one day personally. I've talked to you on the phone a couple times. And I sent her my current declaration page, which is what you need, and kind of list in a nutshell the basics of the policy: dwelling, structure, loss of use, stuff like that. And I also sent her some other information. She said, she emailed me back and she said, do you have a pet or exotic animal? And, I just thought that was interesting, but, the exotic animal part. But I did say, no, I no longer have a dog, even though my current policy has that I have one.
Right.
So I don't know that could lower it down the road. Things I don't know.
Sure.
So
that wouldn't affect the price, by the way.
But they ask, because it asked maybe the coverage liability.
Well, if you have a certain type of dog, typically, or an unusual exotic animal that might be dangerous, then that can affect your qualification for a policy, but not usually the pricing, because some companies just won't accept certain dogs, period, or they might accept them but exclude liability. Or something like that.
So it doesn't change your rate if you have it.
It doesn't really affect the rate, though.
All right. So to continue the story, that same day, Perfect Policy did what they claimed to do. They tried to create a perfect policy for you, and they compared apples to apples with your current policy. And I did receive some results, and those results we're kind of going to go through.
Sure.
I have not made a decision.
Sure.
I am in the shopping process of insurance. Like I said, I try to do it every year. Just being dutiful to my responsibility to myself.
Absolutely.
As a homeowner. And the first thing that I noticed when it comes back, the first thing they throw at you is, here's the price.
Right, sure.
And I think that's great because ultimately we all know that's the first thing. I mean,
it is one of the high.
That's a benefit.
For most people, it's one of the higher qualifications for if they're interested in purchasing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was enough to make me take a second look. The price difference between the two policies right off the bat was $900 a year.
Pretty
Now,
significant.
That is substantial. That's $900 left in my pocket. In my case, it's $900 to go towards the tax increase, the home tax increase that Galveston County has done too. So it's a wash on my escrow, but at least I'm not paying $900 more this year if I went with this. So that's great, like I said before, and so that's a big win. And again, this is not something that is just off the cuff. Perfect Policy shops this out, looks for the deals, and who's willing to work with me as an insured person, and they're trying to find us the best policy, not just the lowest price, by the way. So, and we'll cover that on there. So the one thing I notice is this says that the company basically is not necessarily insured. It's the company is A minus or better. That's all that they kind of work with.
Right. Anywhere in the A range is very good.
And that's the rating. And like I said, so,
right.
A minus is, again, we could talk about the plus or minus, so I'm not going to get in there. So it's an A company, basically, which means that they've been vetted on their sustainability if something happens, their ability to pay. But what if they can't pay? Big storm comes and you're not covered.
Very good question. What's awesome about the state of Texas, and I'm sure other states have a similar situation, is the Texas Department of Insurance vets every company that comes into the state too. Now, there are two different types of companies that can sell you insurance in Texas. One is an admitted carrier, which means a company has come in and has been completely vetted by the Texas Department of Insurance, and they then say, okay, we are going to consider you an admitted carrier in the state of Texas. What that does is it means that if for some reason what you just said happens, there's devastating losses and your company can't handle it, which is a rare circumstance, then the Texas Department of Insurance has an insurance pool, for lack of a better word, that they use and if a company, this happened in fact with Texas windstorm, just this last storm, by the way.
Right.
If they don't have enough money to pay for all of the losses, then all of the other admitted carriers in the state all have to pitch in a little bit to make up the difference. So it's a safety valve that's kind of built into the system. So in the event that something just odd happens, you're just not left out in the cold.
All right. And that brings me to my next question. I'm shopping insurance. This company is a young company. So from what I can tell, it's been around since 2014.
Correct.
Now, that's only for what I can tell.
Yeah, and it's actually newer than that. That's when they purchased the company. They purchased an existing company at that point and renamed it. Then from there, it took a while for them because you've got to develop your policies. How do you want it to look? You've got to go through the admitting process. You've got to get your backers. You got to buy reinsurance. So it takes some time. They've really only started writing policies earlier this year, so they're really very new.
So how do they get vetted to a point where they can get an A-, and I can feel secure about a non-collapse?
Well, this company purchased an existing company that had already been in existence for some period of time. And again, the rating is mostly based on how much money they have in the bank.
Right.
So, and I believe I looked.
Sense.
Yeah, the last I looked, I believe they had $64 million in the bank, and plus reinsurance, by the way.
Okay.
Most insurance companies, especially independents, the insurance company has insurance, which seems kind of silly, but in the event that a major loss occurs, there are really, really big companies, billion-dollar plus companies that reinsure insurance companies.
Okay.
So that they step in.
Now, from what I understand, this is one of those scenarios. They call this particular company a MGA.
Well, SWIFT is the MGA, which stands for Managing General Agency.
Right.
So the name of the Managing General Agency is SWIFT. The actual name of the carrier, if you wanted to research the insurance company itself, it would be under Clear Blue Insurance. That's the name of the company.
And you take a look at that. And again, I always advise you take a look. We all know that most comments that are unsolicited on the internet are going to be negative.
Sure.
Just people tend to go out of their way to be mean more than they are nice a lot of times on the internet, and hopefully that's changing. But do your due diligence. Look up the company, find out a little bit about them. These are questions you need to ask because you want to make sure you're secure. You might be getting a great price, but is it going to be worth that? All right, so we'll move on to the next section here. Home value. Now, we've talked about this in the past with home values, and this one was kind of confusing to me, and I think I answered it myself as I was going through this and reading stuff online about this company. But it basically says that SWIFT will cover the full cost of replacing your home in the event of a full loss. Now, to calculate a fair premium, they explain we did an accurate estimate of the value of the home, which was $370, which is what it's been over the past couple of years based on the policies. So they said they based this premium that they listed above, the $2,369, was based on a home value of $370. But if you believe the cost to replace your home is different, you should change the home value accordingly. However, above that they go, hey, guaranteed replacement cost. We estimate the value of your home to be $370, but is the key word, we'll cover the full cost of replacing your home with no deduction for depreciation and no dollar limit. And then they go on to say at another paragraph, even if it were to end up costing more than this to rebuild your home.
Very nice.
Okay. 3 different places it kind of says 2.5 different things. So I'm trying to figure out, is that, it makes me go, is it trustworthy? Because one of the things I saw on the web where, a supposed insurance agent was saying, look, I'm an insurance agent. I kind of mocked up one of these just to see. And a lot of times we find out it's like 40% of value or stuff. But to me, this says, hey, if this costs $1 million to rebuild your home next year, we're going to pay for it.
Right, but not if you only pay for $370,000 of insurance. It's just what they're saying is what they didn't do is go into great extensive detail of how much over you can get. But I think this comes down to really the 80% rule. So again, you need to insure your home to within at minimum 80% of what the actual replacement cost value of the home is. So if your home is, say, $400,000 to rebuild, and you insure it for $370,000, you're still within 80%. What they're saying in there, it looks like to me, is that they will still pay, even though you didn't insure it for $400,000, you're within the margin of error.
So
there.
it behooves us to find out what that margin of error is.
Yeah, and the Texas law is it's the 80% rule. So if you're within, whatever 80% of $400,000 would be where you'd need to be. But we always encourage and highly recommend and when we quote at 100% valuation. Most companies don't do this, by the way. Most companies insure to the value replacement cost value up to the value of what you insure. So they're just saying, hey, we're going even above and beyond that for you.
Okay. So, yeah, because it kind of is without the details. It straight out says the good news is Swift offers a guaranteed home value so that even if you were to end up costing more than the rebuild amount based on the 370 to rebuild your home, we guarantee we'll cover it.
Right. And the policy there's a whole policy jacket, which is 50
right, and that's all the
pages
legalese and stuff.
Right. So they can't put all that information in the one sheet. So they're just saying, hey, we're not just limiting just to the 370. If it costs more than that, we can. But in the fine print, it will lay out some reasonable terms there. Because like you said, it wouldn't be fair to insure your house for 370 and then get $1 million house to replace. So it has to be, you've got to be within reason.
And the reason I ask that is, one, if you're trying to keep your price lower and you're trying to keep your home value lower to keep your price lower, then, you need to kind of move on that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Jason Means, Perfect Policy Insurance, and we've got a lot more to cover in our 30 minutes left. If you have any questions, folks, please, please, please ask them now. I'll be happy to jump yours in ahead of mine. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Good morning, Cheryl.
All right.
Oh, boy. Angie, thanks for watching. Yes, long-winded, but she said we have good information, though. Thank you so much, Angie.
Very nice.
And Lori, you are in San Diego.
Oh, she's out of town, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
She's doing some stuff. Boy, I maybe should have asked you specifically where you were going, and I could have sent you with some kind of care package for my son because I know you would have loved to lug that around. But anyway, we miss you, Lori. We look forward to seeing you on the 22nd. Don't think I'll see you before then, but she's got business and stuff to do when she gets back, so,
You bet.
She's kind of estranged.
Nice little trip to San Diego, though. It's a good little town.
It is. Nice little town. I been there too many times, but that's because my son's there for school. But
right.
He's actually coming back next week for Thanksgiving. We fly him home for a week.
Nice.
It's good. It's good to see him. Thank you, sir. So I really, I'm glad I answered that. Again, that I know can be kind of shifty.
That's I don't love the way that they worded it there, but they're just saying, hey, we're going a little bit above just what you have on the. As long as you're insuring to reasonable
right. We're not
value.
saying in their rider they're only going to do 80%. They're saying we're going to do 100% of this value.
Right.
I get it. I get it. And it's kind of hard for me as a homeowner to kind of look at that, because if my house were to sell, I think we could get like 425.
Sure.
But it's very clear to say it's not what people market value.
Right,
It's
and
the
bear
rebuild
in-
value, which is usually more than the market value nowadays.
Well, bear in mind though, what you're selling when you sell a house includes land as well, which there's no insurance for land.
Right. Okay.
So if you should have $50,000 of land value, I would say at least, maybe more.
Okay. That's
Especially if you have beachfront property or live in River Oaks. Some of your land value is significant.
Gotcha. Perfect. And we are live once again, back, still in one piece. Plenty of questions for Jason Means, owner of Perfect Policy, as I continue to shop my policy with the company Jason says would offer me the perfect policy for me. So that's where we're kind of reviewing and getting some questions answered. And we were just talking about the home value things. And I just want to finish that up just by saying the home value, make sure it's where it should be. Don't think get a lower rate by doing it lower. It's the same mentality people have. Hey, it doesn't flood here. I don't need flood insurance. It's the same mentality.
No need to cheat the system, and
Yeah.
really the difference between a few $1,000s of insurance is not significant. So just do it right, and that way you don't have to worry.
Exactly. All right, so other structures. Pretty much what I like about this other structure, this amount that it's covering is more than my current amount, which is good.
Right.
It's always good to get more coverage for less. Now, what is another structure?
Yeah,
I know this says like a storage shed, barn, fence, but what else would be on there that maybe we wouldn't think is other?
Well, I mean,
like this covers my fence.
Yeah, your fences, your if your garage is detached.
Okay, mine is.
Which sometimes they are. Now, by the way, detached means it's not touching the building at all. If there's a roofed walkway,
there's a breezeway.
There's a breezeway. That's an attached structure, so
Okay.
it's still attached.
Interesting.
Even though on the CAD sometimes they'll call them detached, we kind of have to ask that question usually, because if they're
Right.
connected, it's attached. But there might be a storage shed or a gazebo.
What about? I was going to say gazebo decking.
Yeah. Any
wood decking?
It's part of the building. I don't know that would consider other structure. That generally, if it's decking, it's probably connected
Attached,
to
yeah.
the building.
If it's on there, it's not some random deck in the middle of the yard.
Yeah. So, and decking, it's hard for that to get hurt by windstorm or fire. I guess it could be by fire. But
Fire, or
yeah.
something heavy could drop on it
Yeah.
from like a tree.
True, or falling objects out of an airplane or something like that. Sure.
Oh, I hope that never happens. All right. Personal property. Now, this kind of was personal property is just basically everything inside, but it also includes, I noticed, like lawnmower.
Sure. Stuff in your garage.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be that, because when it's a lawnmower, I'm thinking, like an auto accident, you hit another car, like a lawnmower. What kind of claim would be made on a lawnmower? But you're right. If it was stored in a garage and things got destroyed, just like inside the
if you
house,
burned down.
Yeah,
Sure.
just like the house. Okay.
Even small boats that don't have licensed for registration for on the water, golf carts, as
like
long
little
as they're
John
not-
boats and stuff.
Yeah, small things.
Okay. And I noticed as well, just so you know, that the personal property coverage is more than my current coverage, too.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, that's a good deal. Yeah. And again, I want to refer back to, the basics and nuts and bolts of the policies. What they did, they took the declaration page and said, here's your basic structures, and here's what we offer on your basic structure. And if it didn't meet, if the perfect policy did not meet, it exceeded the coverage amounts.
Excellent.
I noticed.
Excellent.
So, and again, for a lesser price. Now, personal liability is common sense. It covers you if a claim is made or a suit is filed against you for damages due to bodily injury.
Now, one thing people may not understand is that doesn't necessarily have to happen on your property as well. Let's say you're playing golf and you're on a golf course and you shank one like I often do, and it goes into the road and hits a car. and the car crashes, your personal liability will follow you around, and if you have a situation like that, will help pay in those circumstances. Or if you're out at a restaurant and you open up the door in a bathroom and smash somebody in the face, or something. I mean, something.
Got to remember that. I got it. So I didn't know it followed you out there.
Yes, that's personal liability. It's not liability on your property. It's personal liability.
That's very interesting. I just learned something, and I hope everybody else did, because that's something good to know. Because
Absolutely.
a lot of times you don't think about that.
Well, it's often just completely overlooked, the personal liability section of the policy. A lot of people don't even realize it's even there.
Yeah, I can see it. So it's always good to have that, especially now that it doesn't mean just in the vicinity of your residence.
Now, by the way, the second part that goes along with liability, and I think you had circled this as one of your questions, is the MedPay.
Yeah, that was the next one. So,
MedPay is a little bit different. With liability insurance, basically, you would need to be sued. Somebody would have to say, hey, if you wronged me, file a suit, and then the insurance company will defend you and pay out and so forth. With MedPay, if a friend or somebody that doesn't live in the house is on your property and gets injured on your property for any reason, really, MedPay will help pay some of those expenses without having to go through a legal procedure. It's just, hey, so-and-so was at my house. She stepped off the deck and onto a baseball and broke her leg. It's like, okay, well, we can file for MedPay, and MedPay will pay up to a certain amount. Now, MedPay is a much smaller number.
Yeah, it's $5,000.
$2,500 or $5,000 is pretty normal. So it's not like it's the liability, which could be $300,000 to $500,000. But it's there, more of a good faith type thing.
But okay, I see. So if you go, look, the insurance company, they'll cover, and they're going to give you $2,000, and they go, no, we want $30,000. That switches over to...
Then it becomes liability. Right.
Okay, that's good to know. See, I like how that works. Again, another thing learned today.
There you go.
All right. So I do want to ask about this. One thing I noticed that this, and it's probably not unique because I don't recall having this before, but my current policy, I remember getting it, and one of the things that surprised me, it wasn't a deciding factor for me, but I was told it had it, was mold remediation. And I was like, wow, okay, I know most places don't. I don't have any mold. I haven't had any yet, or at least that I know of. That's noticeable at all anyway. But I imagine that's something to consider. But I was told that really not a lot of policies cover mold remediation.
Yeah,
that was a rarity versus a norm.
Yeah, and if that is something that's important to you, I would recommend getting the details about what exactly they mean by that, because most policies really don't really ever cover just, hey, my house has mold in it somewhere. I'm getting sick or something, and there's just mold growing for no particular reason. That's very unusual. I mean, there's always a reason, but just humidity or whatever and mold, because there was the big mold thing 20 plus years ago where that was happening a lot, and insurance companies basically wrote that stuff out. So mold coverage now usually is a limited situation where it's caused by a leaky pipe or something that's specifically, a peril that might already somewhat be covered, as far as the broken pipe is generally a covered peril. So leaky pipes can be covered as well under some policies. And if that leads to mold, then that may be where that mold remediation comes in. So you might check that if you have.
But it's not a norm, right?
No, it's not. Not at all.
So it's kind of one of those in my mind as a shopper. I'm like, well, this one offers that, but is it worth $900?
Yeah, that's a lot
for something that not many companies offer. And again, I don't really know what that limitation or the width of the breadth of that policy. Okay, I just wanted to mention that because the next one is the water backup sump discharge coverage.
Now, this is different. Most companies will offer this, but sometimes it is an endorsement that needs to be added. Now, this is different from a pipe breaks and water damages your house, such as there's a water heater that breaks and flows water through the ceiling and down the wall or whatever. This is specifically the sewer system outside of the house backs up, and your toilets overflow into the house, and that specifically is for that particular coverage.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different than
Yeah,
just
basically a
accidental
block
discharge.
block drain pipe.
But yeah, in essence, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, if you have a sump pump, then which is most people in the city don't have that, but if you have that,
Right.
that can malfunction as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Deductible, same deductible, $2,500. Basically, if I make a claim, $2,500 deductible. That is per claim. It's not like health insurance where you
Right.
just pay a deductible once.
Exactly.
It's per claim. And wind hail deductible, normal, 2%. Something I did notice was you list kind of the discounts here, which I thought was good, which is on the other pages. This was yours was much easier to read in that sense than the current
Right.
one. But the current one is the actual, forms, I guess. They need the property applications. But I noticed that there's a fire alarm discount, burglar alarm discount, which I do have. But I do have sprinklers.
Oh, interesting.
So do I get a sprinkler discount?
Well,
saw that line.
which is unusual to have. When you say sprinklers, do you mean like for your yard?
I don't know. This doesn't say.
Okay. Well, what they're talking about here is if you have your house sprinkled like a commercial building. Like,
Okay, so a fire suppression.
Right,
Yeah.
which when-
okay.
as soon as
don't
it's
have
fire-
that.
yeah, that's
I was
a
like, hey,
different-
I have yard sprinklers.
And
Wow. I don't know how that affects insurance, but yay.
No, it's referring to fire suppression. Yes.
All right. The other thing is, and this is one of the questions that Danielle asked me. She was like, your current policy says you have hurricane straps. Can you confirm that? And I'm like, no, I can't, because I've never answered that question for anybody.
Right.
But I do know the previous company sent somebody out, which I'm assuming this would, and they looked inside the house and outside. It wasn't a detail. I mean,
Right.
I didn't follow them around. Matter of fact, the probably wasn't even there. Someone else was at the house. So she put no on this one. I don't know if I have them or not. Is there,
I don't know what the level of discount is on that. I will say this: in a lot of cases, discounts do max out. Because
Right,
there's
you can only
many
get
different
so
ones.
many.
You can only get a certain amount of discount before it's like, okay, that's as much as we can go before we start
Right.
losing money, basically, on a policy. So we, of course, want to add as many as we can to make sure that we're achieving that. So that's something we would just need to research.
yeah. And is there a way I can tell if I really have the straps?
That might be something depending on when the home was built. If there's I don't know what county you're in. Do you have a WPI8 on your house?
Yeah, I do. I'm in Galveston, and the roof was put on after Hurricane Ike, so at the end of 2008, right before I bought the house.
That's something we may be able to look into to see if on the windstorm certification, if it mentions that. If it indicates there that it might be there.
And I don't know. And like I said, I never was asked that question before, and
Right.
I noticed on my current policy she has it marked yes, but
And I see on here roof shape is unknown. One of the common discounts, or becoming more common discounts, is a hip roof discount. Most people don't know what a hip roof is, or a lot of people don't know what a hip roof is.
Tell us.
A hip roof, most roofs are or have been gable roofs, where it's basically there's just two sides that from
Right.
a peak, and then the edges are kind of flat. A hip roof is more like a pyramid shape roof, so it's more wind resistant because it slopes down on all sides.
Gotcha.
So that helps it be more wind resistant, which in some cases gives a discount as well.
I think I might have that.
Yeah, so that
It's
might
not
be
a
something we
straight
could add.
triangle.
Yeah.
All right, folks, 11 seconds left, and I will say, show's almost over. So if you have questions, now is the time to ask. Of course, you can always ask them later, and Jason would love to respond. We'll make sure we get you an answer. All right, we'll be back shortly and finish up with Mr. Jason Means of Perfect Policy Insurance.
Boom.
Man, time flying, and I still got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, no problem. That's generally not an issue for us. Yeah, sometimes we can look on.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's more discounts to be had. Great.
Of course.
If not, I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not being greedy here.
This company is interesting too. They have a tree risk evaluation.
Right.
Like your tree risk, she listed as minimal. I don't know. I don't know if you have any. If you don't have any big trees near your house, then
You know what? Like most subdivisions, and we might want to bring this up. Like most subdivisions, they want 2 oak trees in your
Right,
front
sure,
yard.
sure.
I have 3 oak trees. I have 2, one on the front corner, one on the side, and then one on the other side of my driveway. That I guess the owner planted originally.
Right.
So,
and depending on how big they are and how tall they are, and
they're
all those
they're
types of
about
things.
both of them are about as tall as my house now.
Okay.
Well, all three of them are about as tall as my house now. But they're, the one side of the house is kind of close, but not close. But I've heard no foundation issues. I already have foundation support anyway.
Sure.
So we'll just leave it as it is.
That's a new thing that we are not super familiar with, because that's a type of discount we've never seen before. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. This company is very interesting. They're have stepped outside of the box when it comes to how they are running the company. They're very technology based. When they do a quote,
Well, they're calling it AI.
right? Artificial intelligence.
Right.
When you do a quote, all you do is put in the address and push quote, and it pulls all the information from the CAD and from different sources.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I do have a
Yeah.
concern with that.
Okay,
So it's something good to bring up here.
you bet.
All right, we're back, and welcome to my house here at the Associated Credit Union of Texas studio in the Houston Clear Lake area. If you're just joining us, you're a little bit late. But we do have a few minutes left with Jason Means, owner of Perfect Policy. As always, I enjoy having you here. We always have good ideas to kind of do before the show, and then we never get to do them because we run out of time or something else comes up. But we're going to finish up a little bit on the shopping thing. But one of the things we kind of talked about a little bit, and we're talking about during the break, I want to make sure that everybody kind of knows what kind of company this is and how are we able to get these quotes. This quote was sent to me. Nobody came out of the house, looked at it. Simply, it's almost like a plug-and-play insurance company, and there are concerns as a consumer in my mind about that.
Sure.
But what exactly, how, to your best ability, how is this done? I know they say it's done through artificial intelligence at this point.
You
So
bet.
what is the process?
Well, this company is unusual in the fact that they're really using a lot more technology. Most insurance companies are really a little bit behind the times when it comes to technology. I mean,
and I'll throw this out here. If you look online about this company, it says they claim to be a disruptor. They disrupt what the norm is
and
for
they
getting
are.
insurance
and
quotes.
they are. It's in fact, when we first saw their system work, we just were kind of a little bit aghast. It's like, that's all we have to do? Because normally you have to talk to the customer, get a whole bunch of information, plug it all in, go through 3 or 4 pages of stuff, hit quote, and then change a couple of things. Well, with this company, all we did was put in an address and hit quote, and it was done. And what they're doing is, which is, disrupting from the perspective of, hey, none of the other insurance companies are doing this yet, is they are pulling all the information about the house from sources of information, Galveston CAD or Zillow or, other different places where their information about the house is. They cross-reference all that and do the quote based on that information. Now, it's done and ready to bind at that point. However, we do go in and verify some information with the customers and make sure, hey, does this sound right? Does this sound right? If all this looks good, then we're good to go. We can bind this policy and it's ready. But we don't trust all the information, without any questions to the customer whatsoever. We have to, we all need to verify that information.
Right, and they'll probably, the actual carrier, what was the name? Clear Blue.
Clear Blue, yes.
Clear Blue will probably send somebody out if the policy gets activated, which is normal. So expect that, guys.
Sure, exactly.
I mean, every insurance company does that. Doesn't matter about trust. I have somebody out every year,
right,
from the insurer. That's just normal. All right. So one of my concerns with the whole AI thing is accuracy. And again, you said they're going to verify and stuff, but it kind of goes back to a different level too. Everything's kind of hands off in that kind of realm. Some of the concerns that I've seen, not about this company in particular, but companies that offer you low quotes and, can beat everybody else, and they kind of do it this way, kind of sight unseen thing. When you make a claim, it has been done in the past by companies, and it's going to be wrong, but they have a person review the file and try to underwrite the risk at the time of the loss to kind of avoid paying the claim. You know what I'm saying? And we don't, again, we're going through a third party. We're going through a third party or a fourth party to go through a third party for the real carrier.
Sure.
Okay, so that's a concern.
I could see from a outside perspective that would be a concern. One of the things I will say is, when I first started selling insurance and I became an independent insurance agent, I was a little concerned myself. It's like, I've never heard of any of these companies that we represent. I've never heard of, at the time, Wellington Insurance or Homeowners of America.
Right.
Or UPC. All I never knew was State Farm and Allstate and Nationwide and all these companies that advertise a bunch. So I was a little bit nervous, like, first of all, who's going to buy this insurance? But lots of people, because they're regional and their pricings are great. But I was also quite pleased and pleasantly surprised that when it came claim time, these companies took good care of the people. And can those situations occur where they might come out and see something and that violates the policy agreement? Sure, it can, but really it's very rare. I've been here doing this for 13 plus years with 50 different companies.
Right.
Incredibly rare have I ever had to get involved and be concerned.
And most
about
companies
like
will give you a chance. Like, I think if you look at the renewal letter that came with this one, it pretty much said, on 1/5/2016, Orchid Insurance.
Orchid.
Yeah.
Which is a company that we
there you
represent. We don't sell a lot of them because we have more competitive carriers. But that's an MGA, by the way. So the actual carrier will be a little bit different.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, they said, and this wasn't the letter. I actually got a letter saying, hey, there's some debris on the side of the garage, and that's kind of where I have my 2 trash cans. But I did have a wheelbarrow there and several planters, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? So I just kind of organized them up a little bit, and then apparently I took a picture, and that was okay.
Sure.
But so they do come out. So that's not new to anything.
Nope.
There's going to they do send people out, and that's a good thing. That's a sign of a good company that wants to protect its own assets as well. So I think that's something to look at.
Yeah, and I may have misunderstood your question a little bit. I thought you meant maybe at claim time they might come out and say, hey, this, that, or the other.
Well, no, that was my question.
Certainly, okay. Yeah,
that was my
during
question.
an inspection, they will certainly point some things out. They say, hey, it's loss prevention. It's this is a liability risk. Clean this up, or that tree is dying and leaning towards your house. Please remove that tree, so forth.
Okay. Now, here's there's still a lot more to talk about with just a few minutes left. So I want to ask some questions that directly to my shopping. So my renewal is on 12/14. I imagine within the next couple of weeks, my current insurance company will be sending an invoice.
They're going to bill to the escrow.
Yeah, the escrow. So if I decide today, okay, you know what? I'm going to go with this, Jason. I want to save $900. It's worth the mold remediation policy, to do, because really that's what it comes down to for me, which, like I said, is something to just consider because it's there. But I want it to start on 12/14.
You bet.
So what's the next step? Do I notify Insure A?
You notify, first of all, I would never cancel your current policy.
Right, I would cancel to 12/14.
Yeah, well, right. But if you do 30 days out, most of the time we can write a policy 30 days out. Mm-hmm. We do help you with the escrow. If you decide to go with us, basically just need to say, I would like to go with you.
Okay.
We'll contact the mortgage company,
All right.
let them know, hey, they're switching. If they want to talk to you, then they'll let us know. But they will bill them. Sometimes the insured needs to give the mortgage company a call and say, hey, I am switching. Don't pay the other one because they bill early.
Well, based on this, they don't have the right
information.
That's I refinanced this past
gotcha,
year, and I
gotcha.
guess I didn't think that's another thing. If you refinance and you could change bank, call your insurance people so they
because the mortgage company doesn't. It's very common that we do not know for sure.
So anyway, so you can help with that. So in other words, it's not me putting out additional money because it's already in my escrow.
Yeah, it should be. Well, in fact, you should get money back, or depending on what you have. Well,
taxes went up.
Well, that's true. So if in that situation, yes, you may not get money back. But you basically just need to say, I want to do it, and then we'll walk you through the process. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you.
All right. Well, that was one of the things. So I'm glad you answered that. Another thing on the policy my current policy has a section that says wind mitigation. No. What is wind mitigation?
Your current?
Yeah, the current policy. When I look through the sheets,
I'm actually not sure. I wasn't sure talking about there.
Yeah, because
I'd have to.
It's pretty much straightforward, right? There, wind mitigation. But anyway, I just wanted to ask because I was wondering. I know I have windstorm.
Yeah, I don't know what they're honestly referring to there.
Okay, that's always
that would be
good
something
to know.
You have to ask your other carrier. That's not something that I've seen before.
All right. So, all right, folks. We are wrapping up the show, and I can only thank again, and I know there's plenty more left. I still have more, but again, Jason, I appreciate shopping. Hopefully we open the eyes and ears of people to kind of things to look at when you're shopping insurance. Now is the time. If you have any other questions, I know you can go visit www.perfectpolicy.com. That's the easiest way to kind of get the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
With Jason or any one of his agents. Jason, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for making the drive.
Glad to be here and glad to see you wearing purple as you usually do on the Wednesday shows.
I was thinking, he's going to wear purple too. It's going to look so awkward. But anyway, Jason, I really appreciate you being here. And again, folks, if you have any questions for Jason, you can leave them on the post. We will answer them. And until next week, enjoy your Wednesday. It's better than Monday.
All right. And